Hi, True Crime Grapevine fans. It's me, Patty Lee. Today is 12323. What does that mean? Nothing really, but it's kind of interesting. What are we drinking tonight, friends? Uh, who remembers a fuzzy navel? Well, this is like that, but instead, it's orange juice with peach instead of peach schnapps. It's just peach liqueur, and yeah, it's mm, it's really tasty. All right. Hi, I'm Patty Lee. What am I doing here? So I am going nightly to tell you all the true crime because there's not enough time and there's too much crime to just upload once a week. So now I upload or I don't upload. I go live every night around trying 9 o'clock to see if that works out well for everybody. So hello, welcome. What do we have for you today? Crazy stuff. So I have three, four new stories. Two have to do with cases that have already been the person has been arrested. There's adjudication process taking place. Some of it not really great. One in South Carolina, a lawyer who apparently whacks children all around and almost kills them. But hey, don't worry, there's a judge who sees it his way. And, little house arrest, little on the wrist, get you right back out there. That South Cackalack lawyers, they tend to still have that good. I mean, we've got Murdaugh, you know, and we'll talk a little bit about Murdaugh's case. It's not that big of a deal right now because Alec is his stuff is just getting started. So, but this other South Cackalack lawyer from about the same area, Corray, there's a Florida ex-police chief who ard a 14-year-old, scared the crap out of her. It is such a crazy story. He's no longer the police chief, thank goodness. But don't worry, he used all of his uh, known authority to scare the crap out of this girl till she finally told her mom 2 years later. So, and she's just 16 now. So, still underage, and the guy's in trouble for stalking her. We had two mass shootings. Oh, Lord. Isn't that horrible? Where's my shot? Yeah, I always think it. I don't know if I can do two shots, you guys. There was a horrible mass shooting in Monterey Park, California, during the Luna, like the New Year's for people from Asian culture. Uh, it is the Moon Festival. It's the Luna Festival, but it was the eve, and it's the year of the rabbit. There were some celebrations, but it didn't happen at the celebration. It happened at a dance studio. And then there was this crazy altercation where somebody disarmed the man at a second location, but not really easily. And the dude was 72. Long story. We'll get to it. It is crazy. And then there was an Iowa school shooting at a school for children, or probably young adults, it seems like people who are like at risk, not doing well. They've got 3 kids in custody. 2 kids were shot. So poor Des Moines, Iowa. And one adult was injured. And then, yeah, we have the Murdaugh jury selection. And there's stuff about the Miliete case, which I stupidly, naively didn't see the writing on the wall. So we find out today, oh, well, Larry wasn't so paranoid all the time because for the last 5 months, there was somebody who has left as a witness for Maya. We'll get to that in a second. So, there is no perfect victim. Everybody's heard that said, right? Let me take another step. So, first new case. Really crazy case. There's this officer in Florida. He used to be the chief of the Central Hill Police Department, which is in Lake County, Florida. His name is William Ray Pruitt. He is 56 years old. He is the former chief of police, But he was initially charged with this past, forget if it was December when she told. Um, he was charged with 2 counts of essaying a child underage, additionally charged with felony aggravated stalking. Now, that's additional. He AR'd this. Sorry, I have to use YouTube friendly language, right? So he AR'd this young woman at gunpoint when she was 14. Come to find out, he had ingratiated himself with the family. He knew the mother, and so that's how he got around the 14-year-old, which he was seemingly obsessed with. Not only did he R her at gunpoint, but afterwards, he would find ways to see her and say things like she was having his baby or had a baby and was saying things and had a name for the baby, the same name as his mother. How gross is that? And this is disgusting. And unlike so many levels. One, adults Ring children. Okay, disgusting. Doing it when you're an authority figure, so you scare the crap out of a 14-year-old girl because she's not going to know. Like your ex law enforcement, I don't know what his job was at the time. He wasn't the chief of police, I don't believe, at the time, but scary, right? Like, and he was telling her, oh, I can hack into your phone. I know what you're doing. I can see where you're going. He had her freaked out. So she didn't really say anything. She was just like dealing. She didn't tell her mom. She didn't tell anybody. Well, this past August, apparently, when she started driving, he like he once tried to run her off the road and like get her, like he wanted to see her, talk to her, and she was avoiding him, obviously. Another time, one of his employees like had lights flashing and honking the horn and wanted to give her a letter from him. He also had the name of this supposed child, this hypothetical kid, uh, named after his mother, Libby. Like, how's Libby doing? His friends would ask her, and he'd ask her, and even put letters like Libby Hart on her car and on her locker at school. And yeah, she didn't tell anybody for 2 years, and then she finally did tell her mom, and her mom then got in trouble. So he harassed her, threatened to kill himself too, which is a real nice thing to do to a teenage girl, like not just freak her out. Yeah, she reportedly attempted that he forced her off the road. Yeah, that was when she was driving home from school in August. And in that same month, she was followed by his employee. He, oh my gosh, the whole hypothetical kid named Libby is insane. And he was like saying it came from that assault 2 years prior. Anyways, yeah. And so he was jailed for the R stuff initially, got out in December on whatever, awaiting trial, and then further stalked her. And now he's got um, felony aggravated stalking and one misdemeanor, easy for me to say, misdemeanor simple stalking. So I don't know exactly the difference between that, but obviously the felony stalking, aggravated stalking is worse. And hopefully he goes to jail, but I don't know. This is Florida. We shall see. Florida does sometimes do a little bit better, better than South Cackalack. So this is update number 2, a new story. I got both of these from an account on Twitter, alerted, like just made me aware. Her name is Beck, Bek, I believe. And then I looked it up, like did some due diligence to see if these are accurate and not just, you know, sometimes, I don't know if you know, but sometimes on Twitter, people make lies. Did you know? Crazy. Okay, so the second story comes from not exactly the Low Country, but close, because there is a judge involved in this from Charleston area. And this is the story of a South Carolina prosecuting attorney, former, who got into trouble due to family problems. Does that sound familiar, people? Okay, so he didn't kill anybody. Well, he almost did. And it was also his child, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so this former prosecutor from Berkeley County, he was the DUI prosecutor, um, which tells me he, I'm not going to say it, allegedly, I would think. Um, anyways, he pled guilty. He did plead guilty. This is what the crazy thing is. So he did plead guilty to 3 counts of unlawful conduct towards a child and received a 10-year sentence, which, sounds okay. I mean, not great. He choked out a 3-year-old. It was on the home security camera. Choked out a 3-year-old, like so, like she was like coughing and catching her breath. Now, the story is at first he was charged with attempted murder, but they were afraid they couldn't make the murder charges stick because it didn't appear as if they couldn't tell his intent, his mens rea, like how his mind was working. Did he have a guilty conscience or not? Of course, there's that involuntary manslaughter and voluntary manslaughter thing, or murder too, which is in the heat of passion, attempted murder too. I mean, but no, instead, no, they just, unlawful conduct towards a child. So the 10 years he received, well, this judge, which is this judge, Bentley, oh, like the car, Bentley Price, Judge Bentley Price of Charleston, South Cackalack. Yeah, he's got a history of this. He's sort of like, he feels like maybe these people, they get 10 years, they get 14 years, but oh, maybe they should only do 2 years. Oh, and you know what? They've been at home for over 400 days on house arrest. And I am sure that Mr. Michael Justin Mim, 41, I'm sure his home is horrible, right? And I want to know where his kids were when he had house arrest too, because was he locked up with them? The kids that he was knocking around? Anyways, yeah, he got 2 years instead of 10. Oh, and then time served in house arrest, as if that's really like jail. So now he just has 3 years probation. Oh, he got 2 years and then time served, which was like 400 days, 450 days, which that's not 2 years because that's over, that's 365 times 2. So that would be more. But then he got 280 days of good time. Right. Because let's get him good time because it's so hard to be good at home. See, I'm Pitchfork Patty at this time. Sometimes I'm Prosecutor Patty. I'm a little more logical. Sometimes I am playing devil's advocate and I am protecting everybody, including defendants. But I am Pitchfork Patty right now. Why? Let me describe to you what they said. Choking his 3-year-old daughter. Of course, it was a girl. Slapping repeatedly an infant, a baby, repeatedly hitting a baby, knocking around, whatever that means, and kicking a young child. The dude. So, yeah, choking, hitting, and physically assaulting several kids sounds all small. Like this was all in 2018, and the other hitting incidences were 2018 through 2020. 2018 was when he choked out his own 3-year-old child. Yeah, arrested October 2021 by the Hanahan Police Department for attempted murder and 5 counts of unlawful conduct. But judge, see, you can sometimes choose to go before a jury or a judge. So, hey, if you're good with the judge and you know which judge to get, I'm not saying it was a setup. I mean, I don't know. I'm just watching from the outside. I'm just saying if anybody else choked out a 3-year-old, whether they could be proved that they meant to kill him, they would get at least murder 2, attempt, or involuntary manslaughter, or something more than just Oh, just what'd he get in trouble for? Oh, unlawful conduct. Yeah, choking out and almost killing a 3-year-old is unlawful, but it's more than just unlawful conduct. Whatever. Dude, we will be hearing from this guy again. Mark my words, today, 123:23. Michael Justin Mims, 41. We're going to be hearing from him again. He's going to kill somebody. He's going to kill a little kid. A kid's going to disappear in his care. Sorry, Justin. I'm just going by your past behavior. I mean, really, for your safety and the safety of all others, you should be locked up for those 10 years. Maybe you would learn a lesson, but you're not going to learn a lesson because Judge Bentley Price thinks that you are more important than children's welfare and livelihood. So you will lose your temper. You obviously have, I mean, he obviously has. I don't know if he's drinking, which would be, that's why I said it'd be interesting because he was a former DUI prosecutor for Berkeley County and South CAC, you know, and if he wasn't drinking, not that it's any better or worse, but I mean, he has anger issues. You don't physically, bodily batter infants. You don't smack infants across the face. Like, you don't kick small kids because they annoy you. You shouldn't kick anybody or anything, but especially small humans. Anyways, that's all my opinion. It's all my speculation, but mark my words. All right. Case 3 update. Oh, this is the new one that came out of Monterey Park with the Lunar New Year. So it's New Year. People are celebrating. One way people celebrate is by going to dance studios, dance halls, like ballroom dancing type, couples dancing. Well, at the beginning of this, all we knew was that in Monterey Park, there was a star dancing club that a shooter walked into and just it looked like indiscriminately shot at everybody on the dance floor. 10 people, I think somebody was shot outdoors too. It started out with 10 people, 5 men and 5 women being shot. Then it turned into 11 people had, I mean, not that had been shot, died right there. And then another person died later at the hospital. So in this incident, 11 people so far have died. The shooter, he drove 30 miles further to another dance studio, the Lele Dance Studio, in um, Alhambra, California. So it's about 30 miles away. Walked into there. A young man, it was towards now it's later, towards the end of the evening, he noticed this guy came in and he said he looked like he was like all of a sudden he realized this guy is looking around and he sees that he has a weapon like and he said immediately he's like he's going to shoot and kill people. I have to do something. And so you can see there's recorded video of him suddenly pushing this guy back and fighting with him in the lobby, which was insane because the man was 72. The person who disarmed him eventually was 26, but the 72-year-old is like wily and moving around and trying to grab his gun back. And you can see that it's a, I think they said it was a Mac 11, whatever that means. It looked like a little weird Tommy ray gun. I don't know. Like it was a weird little gun, but it had this big, huge suppressor, homemade suppressor on it. This 26-year-old hero, Brandon Shea, but it's spelled Tsay, but it sounds like Shay to me. Brandon, he said he was like fearful, but those people were going to be killed if he didn't do something. I mean, he's 26. He knows the score with shooters. And he fought this guy. He got the gun away and the guy kept going for it. And the guy even picked up a candle and like tried to whack him on the head. He is moving all around. He's got the gun. He's holding it away, holding it away. Finally, you can see him shouting, and he said what he said, like, "Get the hell out! I'll shoot you if you don't leave. You need to leave. You need to get the hell out of here." The guy stands there for a second. He's kind of like, and then he just sort of walks away. And then the guy said he got into a white van. Thank goodness he didn't come back. we find out he had more guns in the van and tons more ammo, and at his house, guns and ammo, and lots of homemade modifications. So, who is this guy? He's 72 years old. His last name is Tran. So, Mr. Tran, who can Tran is how to say his name phonetically. So, sadly, it turns out, in fact, right away, there was a community commerce, like he was part of the commerce of Monterey Park. Uh, the Chamber of Commerce is the group citizens who volunteer. Sometimes they get paid a little bit by the city council to bring in and to like do PR for the businesses, the commerce in their city. And this Mr. Chester Cheng said, he was interviewed like right that night, early morning. He said he has been hearing that it was a domestic situation, that it was a man who was angry at his wife, and he didn't get invited to the Lunar Eve's like festivities at the dance. Okay, so was this true? We didn't know at first. Well, now we know more. And it's really it's it's got everything that we talk about, unfortunately. Like it's got issues about gun control, and if someone has mental problems, should they have access to guns? Especially, he had a lot of guns, and he was like packing. Like they said, they couldn't count how much ammo because it was like in buckets. Um, this man used to own a trucking company, trucking company. He's a Vietnam immigrant from long ago. He met his wife at the Star Dancing Studio back in the early 2000s, and then married her soon after. He was like her instructor. But he started saying that people didn't like him there. He sounded like a little like he was getting paranoid, if you ask me. Anyways, by I believe 2005 they divorced, or maybe I don't. I'm not sure exactly on the timing of the divorce, but she is his ex-wife now. Apparently, she got invited to this dance studio, and in fact, one of the people shot was a male dance instructor who was known to be fabulously giving and a great dance instructor. So it seems like wrapped up in this is instructor. So it seems like wrapped up in this is like about like his life was at the dance studio. She came in, they got together, and then when they broke up, she got the dance studio and he got bupkis. I don't know. They said 10 years ago, 10, so a decade. So 2003, right? 13. In 2013 or so, he had gone to the police where he lived. Now, he didn't live in Monterey Park or Alhambra. He lived he had moved into a older retirement community in Hemet, and it was called Lake Hemet. Lakes at the Hemet was senior community. So he was all by himself. He did go to the police though in 2013 and said, my family's trying to kill me, like poison me. They're that's a sign of mental illness when you're paranoid and you think people are putting things in your food. They're after you. They're going to get you. So I don't know if, I mean, he's 72 and he was in great shape. So I don't think he continued dancing, but they said at the retirement community, he walked his dog, he walked a lot. I think swam. He lived 80 miles away from the Star dance, but it seems like that was the center, at least in his mind, of where things went wrong, perhaps. Anyways, thank goodness for that 26-year-old who had that moment of, he even said like he saw this guy, the guy seemed to be scanning at the same time he hears like metal on metal and realizes he's got gunware on him and what's going down, and immediately acts. And it is just kind of all kinds of crazy. The guy did so when he got into his white van, he drove away. The SWAT team did find him because Brandon had called immediately as soon as he left, and he was found in Torrance, California. The SWAT team surrounded him, and then he did what people do to himself. So he unalived himself. They're looking in his home. That's where they found all the ammo in his van, lots of ammunition and gun stuff. So, everybody around him said he was really nice, really quiet. Sad. Sad for everybody, especially those 11 people. They've only announced 3 names because they're still notifying next of kin, and everybody was over 55. It was like an older community of dance people. So that kind of really sucks. All right, you guys, on to updates on the Murdaugh case. Okay, 900 people are potential jurors in Carlton County, in the Low Country, in and they're all meeting in Waterboro, South Cackalack. We don't know what's happening. They need to find, I think, 15. They want the 12 and 3 extra. The whole county has 6,000 people, but part of the problem with this being Carlton County is this is the county that the Murdaughs lived in and worked in for hundreds of years. So are they going to be considered like people remember them fondly and he'll get the benefit of the doubt and there'll be at least one person that will hang the jury? Or are they going to have more of a problem with people wanting to hang him instead of the jury, right? Because they know the people who were allegedly hurt by him in his financial crimes. And then he perhaps allegedly acted like a spoiled ass his whole life, getting out of trouble, getting his kids out of trouble by just dropping his name, dropping his daddy's name, dropping his granddaddy's name. That tends to rub people the wrong way. But, like when you're in power, they're all like, okay. But when you're out of power, they're like, oh, yeah, I remember you. So we don't know how hard it will be. But apparently there were, of the 900 potential jurors, there were 4 panels of them. And they said 3 of them, like they're going to finish the 4th tomorrow. I don't know how that's possible. That math ain't mathing for me, but my dyslexia is more mathy. So I'm just trying to figure out 900 divided by 4. You know what I'm going to do? I bet somebody out there can do that right in their heads. I'm going to do it on my phone because that's why we have calculators. So 900 people divided by 4 gives us 225 in a panel. That doesn't seem right, does it? Do you guys think that seems right? I don't know. But they said there were 4 panels and there's only 1 left and they thought it'd be done by tomorrow. I don't know how that's possible. So one of the things though, they asked people of these 900 people called, right? Can you serve for 10 weeks? Like, can you just step out of your life? And that's going to get rid of a lot of people. Students, probably anybody who needs to work and depends on their economics, anybody watching their kids and can't get babysitters. So there's going to be a lot of people who can't just take off. We'll see who ends up being a jury of his peers. The docket, Eric Big E on Twitter, he's at Chasing Papers 89. And he does have a YouTube channel, which I need to cite. But his documentation on Twitter is great. If you're looking for somebody who's got the actual legal documents, that's who you need to follow. At Chasing Paper. He's called Docket, and then it's at Chasing Paper 89. Go follow him. Anyway, he was also retweeting, besides the actual documentations, demographic information, basically descriptions of who is in the jury pool, who lives in that area, who are these out of 6,000 of these people, like how many graduated from high school, how many graduated from college, how many like full-time, part-time, not working, every kind of demographic, white, black, Hispanic, you know, I don't think there were any Pacific Islanders, but like every type of way of breaking down people in these 6,000 people. He had a visual graphic for it. So I really like that a lot. Um, that is going to be going on, I think, for at least another day. All right. And the last story I have to tell you comes from the um, Larry Miliete preliminary hearing. Well, there was some tea spill. I mean, and it was scalding hot tea. Mm-mm-mm. Right. It's bad enough. I'm going to finish my drink. Why? I can't believe it. So, Maya, for 5 months, was having an affair. I didn't think she was. I thought Larry was paranoid. Now, her having an affair, so what? Larry was crazy, in my opinion. Sorry, just my opinion. Speculation. He was controlling her. The more, I mean, they obviously were having problems, but 5 months, let's say she moved out May to June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So, right about when she moved out was when this seems to have started. She was separated from him at that time. So, I'm going to say they were on a break, right? Ross and Rachel, hashtag if you know, you know. But seriously, Larry was never going to get anybody as good looking and sweet and smart. And she made $150,000 a year, which isn't peanuts. She was talented. She sang. She was absolutely strikingly beautiful. I mean, and he had married her right out of high school. Well, good for you, Larry. And you had a good run. 3 beautiful children. Couldn't you just? No, but he couldn't let go. Literally, he could not let go. And so all the time that people have been on the stand, they've been asked about, was Maya seeing anybody? And everybody said they weren't sure. They didn't know. I mean, she had friends. Well, now also know that from last week that Larry had access to all of Maya's social media, all her passwords. Now, she had a secret, like the kids call them Finstas. You know, she had her Insta that I'm sure he was following, but she made a Finsta, a fake Insta, and she only talked to one person on it, and that was Jamie from work. Now, Jamie was also the guy that her brother reported that she was while she was living outside of the house. Apparently, Larry said their daughter left her phone in Maya's car. And so he, as soon as Maya dropped off the girls and son and left, oh my gosh, Larry realized and could probably, track using Find My iPhone where Maya was. And he did find Maya, and Maya had a gentleman in the car with her, which was this man from work named Jamie. And she was very, very upset. And according to people there, he said, "Why are you with my wife?" And Maya just started crying. And then Larry had something to say to Maya. So here's the tea. Apparently, Larry had convinced Maya. I don't know if it's because she worked for the Navy, if this was a problem, but he was like convinced her if she cheated with a subordinate, especially if he was also married, which this guy was, and apparently having a baby, which we all know is the time when men cheat. But setting that aside, um, where was I going with this? Sorry, see, I shouldn't have slammed that drink. I'm just shocked that Maya was cheating. Oh, Larry had told her that it was like he was gonna have her, and it makes me laugh. I don't know why. He told her, and she believed this. She was worried that he was gonna have her investigated at work. I'm like, dude, You don't investigate getting the big D. I mean, sorry, shit happens. I don't understand how Larry convinced her work was going to investigate her. Like, work doesn't, I don't know. Even I don't know what work cares about adultery. Now, maybe because she worked in the Navy and it was a securities division, maybe that had to do with like keeping secrets. But hey, Larry knew no more secret. I mean, let's just tell everybody, problem solved. I don't know. It just seems like Larry, he was taking over the finances. He was moving their secure finances, like what they had in the bank, into cryptocurrencies. He was acting a little, without telling her, by the way, taking control of her money, control of her social media, finding out where she was. Now, Maya should have said to him, I'm leaving you. I don't love you. I'm going to date. Sucks, but reality, right? Um, but she didn't. She had a traditional upbringing, and somehow Larry played on that. I don't know. It's a real shame because now people are dead. And I don't know if she would have been honest, would he have just killed her? I mean, it sounds like he's a control freak and thought that Maya was like property. So yeah, I don't I I this is horrible for her family, but I mean, but it's the reason why, and it's motive. She wasn't just kind of leaving. She had already left, at least with her heart. So I don't know if Jamie's going to be on the stand. That ought to get interesting. The person who said all this was the cop today. There was an officer who told what they found. But anyways, I feel so bad that Maya was like afraid of something that happens to a lot of people, and it's not, you don't get investigated for it. I mean, and she made the money. I mean, oh, it's horrible. All right, guys. So that is the update for Monday. I think I covered everything that happened. I am sure people are still talking about the Idaho 4. They're still going on and on about um, just imagining. And the whole thing about um, regarding the motive and how Brian was connected to the girls is making everybody crazy. And I already said it during my upload, but I'll just quickly say it again. I think Xana was the target because Xana's door was broken the week before, and I believe the killer had cased out the joint. And especially if it really is Brian, the girl that he liked had long, dark, straight black hair, dark hair, just like Xana. And Xana's sister lived at and was a senior in Washington State University, and Xana went there at least during family game times. There's a picture of her with her dad. Did Brian see her? Did Brian see her sister? And her sister went to Moscow to see Xana, and he followed her there, and then he saw that, and then he could see into that house. I mean, I think partly he somehow glommed onto one. I just think it's Xana because Xana's sister is the connection to Washington State University. And I believe I said this. If I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, but I said this on the record that I'm going to upload. But there is an issue with people saying the Mad Greek was the only place you could, like, it was one of the few places you could get a vegetarian option, and that's bullshit. Go to Google Maps, go to Pullman, and then go to Moscow, Idaho. Pullman, Washington, Moscow, Idaho. Hit restaurants in the filters, and then do vegetarian restaurants. Over 20 come up in each city. The Mad Greek put out a statement saying, whoever that employee was, we we don't think, we say that's not true. Please quit reporting that. You don't have a real source. That isn't accurate. And when people play up the whole thing of, well, but the Mad Greek was one of the few places he could get a vegetarian pizza. Mod Pizza, MOD, right down the street from the Mad Greek in Moscow, known for vegetarian pizza. So if he was there, and we don't know this, but I mean, I think what was the already by August 21st, he was in Moscow. What brought him to Moscow? I can only think of one connection to Washington State University, and that is Xana's sister goes there. Looks a lot like Xana. Xana did things with her. They were both thetas. All Brian had to do, if he took a shine to one of them, was look up their last names, look where they went, and you're off to the races with his fantasy. And then, carrying it further and further. And then, unfortunately, the house was very visible, especially from the back. And we're not victim shaming, but please put up curtains in your windows, because at night, if your lights are on and there's a window, you are backlit. It's like you're like on stage. You're on display. So please put up curtains that you can't see through, men and women, at night. Also, lock your doors. Lock your doors to your house. Make it a habit. Lock your doors to your room if you live with multiple people. Lock your doors. And you can't do much else than that, because if there's a predator who spies you and gets you and is fantasizing, it's kind of your best bet is to do everything to make your house a fortress. I know that's not very nice to think about. All right, so that's what I had to say about that. There's not a lot else that we're going to hear because we're not hearing anything, right? There's gag order. So be careful. Unless you hear it in a legal filing, do not repeat it as fact. We don't know who was DMing who. We don't. Just because somebody said close to the investigation, that's why the judge put on that second gag order that was tougher, including investigators of families. You're not helping if you yippity yappity up. And then the 24-hour media, it's a circus, because it is. So maybe, the shooting will take some of this off, but I'm telling you, there are certain cases, and it tends to be young, white females that are good looking, tend to, whatever, make people crazy. Kylie Rodney, Gabby Petito, now the Idaho 4. People can't stop. And they suck all the air out of everything else. And there are other cases that we could help. And then the Anna Walsh case, we haven't heard a lot about that either. He is now murder charges, and we know his Google history. That's what I can't wait to see in legal filings come June 26th. We are going to see, though, Brian Kohlberger for a bond hearing. He asked for an earlier bond hearing, or Ann Taylor. That always makes me laugh. Ann Taylor, his lawyer, asked for a bond hearing, and I believe it's in February, late February or April. She thinks he should get bond, which means she's disputing that he's a danger. That ought to be interesting. Can't wait. All right, guys. So, bye. Please please hit the subscribe button. Make some comments. Tell me what you think. I mean, my opinions are only that. They are only opinions. I would love to know what you guys think. And can you believe that Florida, police chief, obsessed with that little girl with pretend babies, talking about a baby like it's real, that it's hypothetical? No wonder that little girl was freaked out. Can you imagine being 14 to 16, scared every minute of the day that you're going to get assaulted by a law guy? And the South Carolina guy beating up his kids. Allegedly. Well, no, he was, I don't know why I'm saying allegedly. He was adjudicated and found guilty, and he just got off with a little, that is wrong. I'm hoping Mandy Matney and Eric Bland on Cup of Justice, if you're interested in justice, especially in the South and the Good Old Boy Network, go listen to Cup of Justice podcast with Eric Bland. And there's another lawyer, I believe, in Mandy Matney of the Murdaugh Murders podcast. She's been doing some cross pollination there in podcasting. All right. See you tomorrow night. Bye.